Welcome to the weekly preview here for Los Alamitos Racecourse. It is November 27th and 28th, approaching towards the end of November. This week, we'll be highlighting the tremendous finals for the thoroughbred points race at 1,000 yards, in addition to the SoCal Derby trials on Sunday. Orlando, welcome back. It looks like every week we're jam-packed with important races, and there's another weekend here with a couple of thoroughbreds events and the quarter horses as well.
I hope you had a great time with your family over the holidays, the Thanksgiving weekend. I know you enjoy your time with your family. And, of course, we have some great racing here in store. We just went through an outstanding weekend of trials to the Los Alamitos 2 million futurity, yes, Jose. And, of course, the Southern California Derby trials, our final set of trials of the season coming up this Sunday. And before that, the Saturday card, tremendous card. We have the 50,000-yard final, 10 outstanding runners going at 1,000 yards. And, of course, we also have a $30,000 final for the fillies and mares and a $30,000 undercard for the next horses as far as the point standings are concerned. So an exciting weekend of action. But if we could just talk a little bit about those trials. What a tremendous night of trials. Bomb Cyclone just blew through the competition on a windy night, but the win was consistent. There was win for every single trial, so everybody got a fair shake. From that standpoint, Bomb Cyclone, just an outstanding effort from, again, that family that we've talked about so often. Favorite Cartel, Remember Me Rose. What a tremendous combination that has turned out to be. But look at that outstanding field. Golden State Million Futurity winner, Whiskey Glasses. Also the PCQHRA Breeders' Futurity winner, Favorite Honey. Chisholm, every single trial that he's in, he just performs outstandingly. Let's see if in the final, he's able to get over that hump in a final race. Watch Out was impressive. Rocket 17, just being a friend, gets, kind of the surprises of the trials, I thought. Dynamic Jess, a horse bred and owned by Bruce and Jill Thompson, gets in. Dash a Good Reason from that great family of He's a Dash of Fire. And the third fastest qualifier, Apolitical J Streak, Sire, Apolitical Jess, a horse that ran second in the 2 million final. So up and down that list, just another outstanding group of runners that will be here getting together on December 12th for the Los Alamitos 2 million final. And like we've talked about, the richest running of this race since 2014.
And specifically the wind played a factor, Orlando. So I think some of those middle horses that didn't have that big standout times, those efforts might be better than luck. We'll have to keep our eyes on a runner like Watch Out, Dynamic Jess.
He had the fastest win of all the qualifiers.
Yeah, so I think those runners don't be too a little bit too critical of those times, because the wind was a factor in those races. As far as running a more professional race, probably Watch Out off the top of my mind. Probably Watch Out ran a more professional race. Dynamic Jets, I was impressed, even though it wasn't the fastest time, but there was a win there. So looking forward to the final. But what a breeding line, right? Remember Me Rose, that breeding line, that mare has been such a great producer. And once again, she has a fastest qualifier to a big final. So we have to look at Saturday's finals.
Yeah, let's talk. We did talk to Chris O'Dell. We caught up to him after the trials, and he talked a little bit about Bomb Cyclone, just just his career progression. He went to Ruidoso. That's where he had his first 3 races out there. Then comes back to Los Alamitos and just has that terrific performance. So we talked to Chris O'Dell. Here's what he had to say.
Really went after these bloodlines with Powerful Favorite and Run for Your Life. I mean, that mare just keeps delivering with that combination with Favorite Cartel.
We love the combination. We just keep going back to the well, and we have so much faith in this horse, and so we've just been trying to take our time and pick our spots, And a lot of people kind of second-guessed us, and hopefully he comes out of the race good, and we did the right thing. Right now it looks like we did the right thing. We waited, and his last couple races at Ruidoso were kind of marginal. He got bumped around and knocked down and had some really bad experiences, and we needed something good to happen for him. So we took our time, and he's the kind of horse that makes you be patient because he's super fast. Everybody can see that. Mm-hmm. And those super fast ones, you got to take your time, and they'll tell you what to do. They kind of train themselves, those good ones. And so And I'm so excited. I can't believe it. I was very impressed with his effort. We've all been very high on him, Nicasio and Mrs. Rosenthal and myself. And I mean, I think the world of the horse.
Absolutely. He won his first out. And like you mentioned, next 2 outs, a little bit of trouble both times.
Right.
But what did he show you in that first out that that told you, hey, I do have to kind of wait for this horse because he's a heck of a runner?
Well, what happened is we went to Ruidoso. We worked him here a couple times before we went to Ruidoso, and he showed a little run. We got to Ruidoso and ran him in the training races. He drew the one hole, stood there, made up 4 or 5 lengths, and ran second. And I mean, galloped out. It was like he went like 6 furlongs.
Wow.
And we're like, whoa. Sean Hubbard told me, he says, can you see the gallop out on that horse? And I said, wow, look at him. Anyway, then we ran him back, and he really tried to break hard and fell all the way down and got up and he won, and then he ran a second and didn't qualify, and he just had a couple just terrible gate experiences. He's so big that it's hard for him to get out of the gate, but he got out of the gate tonight, so maybe he's figuring it out.
You mentioned his size. How does he compare size-wise with some of the ones that we've seen here from that family?
Of the family,
Mm-hmm.
He's almost twice the size. Ooh. He's huge.
Wow.
And it's not so much that he's wide, he's pretty wide too, but he's really long, so he barely fits in the gate. When you get him in the gate and the tailgate's closed, his nose is jammed up in the gate. And so today, Nicasio said he actually raised his head up to give himself a little room, so he's learning how to cope.
Fantastic.
So,
amazing. Congratulations on that win.
Thank you very much.
He fired a big effort tonight, last week in Orlando, and based on the pedigree, based on we had raced at Ruidoso, he's the real deal to me in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, every time that those bloodlines are there, you have to consider them the real deal because they've done it so many times now. There's 3 Grade 1 winners in that family. Who knows how many more are to come because the yearlings were outstanding. They were the highlights of just about every cell they were in, including the Los Alamitos equine cell. So beautiful, setting a sale record here at Los Al. So looking forward to the final, of course. And like you mentioned, watch out. He ran into a 10 headwind. That was the strongest of all the qualifiers. Chisholm and Dynamic Jess also ran into pretty strong headwinds. So looking forward to a great race.
All right, that's a good recap of the trials for last weekend for the 2 million. Looking forward to that final on the weekend of Champion of Champions as well. And why don't we move over to Saturday night first? First two cards for the weekend. The highlight on Saturday will be the thoroughbred finals for the point system, Orlando. We have 3 of them. And specifically, the main one will be going as race number 4, correct?
Number 10.
No, number 10.
The 10th race, $50,000 on the line, the 1,000-yard final. And all these horses that we've been following, Jerry, who had that long winning streak, Ballast Point, the track record holder at 1,000 yards, is going to be a part of it, the quarter horse there. Baby Gronk, he's been impressive from time to time. He's had some really nice races. Castlegate had a 4-race win streak here for Joel Diaz and Josue Quintero. He has been one of those horses that's just been so consistent at this level, winning those 4 races in a row here at Los Al, all of them in impressive fashion. He ended up being the point leaders after all it was said and done, I believe with like 46,000 points. Remember, every dollar earned was a point, and that's how these horses got in. Quarter horses had preference, but from there, it was based on the point system. Terrible Ted, another horse that was leading early on in the point system, and he's had some nice efforts as well here at this 1,000-yard distance. But we got to talk about Capture the Sea, because we had a preview race at 1,000 yards a couple of weeks ago, and Jerry, Castlegate, Capture the Sea. I believe Prince Ali, who's also in the final, was in there. It was really a preview of what we were going to see on this Saturday. And who comes out on top with Capture the Sea? Diego Herrera, Matthew Fails. Just a beautiful ride, a very patient ride for Diego Herrera. One that spot opened up for Capture the Sea to go through. He explodes and wins this race. And the owner, Dan Wells, that last name is very familiar to everyone that has been following Los Alamitos. His mother, Martha Wells, one of the top quarter horse owners and breeders here at Los Al for a long time. His father, Dan's father, Dwayne Wells, was an accomplished trainer, quarter horse trainer here at Los Alamitos. And it's great to see Dan getting involved as an owner, always there next to his mom, rooting her horses on. Now, his name, we see him in the program now, Dan Wells. And what a way to get into the sport, making it to the $50,000 final. And Jose, we're very happy to be joined by Dan for this show, talking about this 50,000-yard final. Dan, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Hey guys, good morning, man. It looks incredible out there.
I know. Look at Professor G has a great seat right there. Yeah.
Yeah, when I come to work at Los Alamitos, it ain't work. Right? Enjoying the races.
I didn't know if that was one of those screensaver things.
Yeah,
exactly.
Live and in effect with Professor G at the races. But Dan, welcome to the program. We're kind of
thanks for having me, guys. I love your show.
We're just previewing that big final. So, how has it been since claiming this horse and pretty much earning a check every race? So you make it look easy. You make the claiming look easy.
I tell you what, one thing I've never won is a shake. Not once. Every horse I've ever put a claim in on, whether it's a shake, I lost. And so when I saw this horse on there, Capture the Sea, I said, let's put my name in for the lottery, see if I get lucky on this one, because this horse does not belong down here.
Yeah.
And I walked in and I said, were they going to do the shake? I don't want to miss it, because the one before I had not seen it, and that kind of pissed me off. And so I kind of walk in and I hear Scott, Wells, you got the horse. And, I mean, I probably jumped about as high as Michael Jordan did when he made that Game 6 shot. I mean, I jumped out of my boots. I could not believe that now I had the horse. And then, so the scariest thing for me was possibly losing him for $10,000 claim, because I knew that that was kind of the best place to put him next. It was two steps above 62.50. So that was my scariest moment. And of course he won that race, and he's not going to be any more claimer races.
And I remember talking to you when you first got involved and how excited you were to have this horse Capture the Sea. And there was one thing about the way the point system works that you pointed out to me that, I kind of said, hey, yeah, that's he's right, and you mentioned NASCAR racing. So tell me what, that analogy was.
It's just, look, my dad was also a jockey. He was a great trainer, but he was also a jockey for many, many years. So there's pictures of me in, 1974 with my mom holding me and my dad on the horse as a jockey. I've been around the track my whole life, and, it's an expensive sport. So I don't mind, cheering with the family with my mom the whole time. But man, when I saw this, I was like, so you accumulate points all year long, just like NASCAR. And if you have enough points, you're in. It's not like with Tel Cartel, if there was points, he would have been in the 2 million finals. But then he got pinballed and never made the finals. And so he had to go on as a 3-year-old and win 3 derbies in order to, kind of become an accomplished horse. So with this, you look at this list of 10 horses and they are all legit. Yeah. They've all earned a lot of wins throughout the year. There's a reason they are in the finals. I mean, honestly, if they get a clean trip, any of these horses could probably win it. They're good horses. I mean, it is an exciting race.
Yeah, for sure. So it's like you can overcome one bad night because it's a season-long kind of thing. That's kind of what you're getting to,
Yeah.
As long as your horse is consistent, as long as your horse is right, and he fits at this level, there's a good chance that you're gonna be in the midst of it.
Yeah, and and it also creates a little bit different dynamic as you get closer to the race. You see all of a sudden people don't want to lose their horse.
Yes.
There was one horse that went Terrible Ted.
Terrible Ted. Twice he's been claimed.
Yes.
In this process,
because people know it, and Uranga probably saw him and goes, well, wait a second. This horse has a lot of points. If I claim him, I'm going to be in that race. And so, and this actually, that's who I claimed Capture the Sea from. But now he's still in the race with Terrible Ted, which is super cool. It's just a whole new, fresh dynamic. Who came up with the idea anyway? Because it pulled me right into the sport.
Yeah, you got to give credit to our racing office. Led by Scott Craigmile. They've done a terrific job all year long, kind of putting together some really fun programs, some really fun cards. And this is another example. It's really kept this 1,000-yard races super interesting. Just super going back. Just going year long, just adding up the points and seeing the movers and the shakers and the horses.
And the other thing about it is we fall in love with these 2-year-olds and these 3-year-olds, but then they kind of like Tel Cartel didn't even get to be a 4-year-old, and that would have been his strongest year, because he was too valuable as a stallion. And these horses kind of have like a history, and you really get to know them. And
They're hard knockers.
Like Craig Dollacy, that's how I say his name. Right?
Yeah.
He probably had Capture the Sea for 2 years in his barn, but as a 3-year-old, like as a really young horse over at Del Mar and racing up at Golden Gate and so forth. So the horse finally has come into his own. And the other dynamic that's interesting is people like to make a quick buck with these horses. So you see him available for 5, you're like, okay, well, I know he can win at 5. I can just run it back for 62.50. They don't mind. And so there's a lot of like short-term opportunities, but then you throw in this other element, and then it's like, okay, I need an allowance horse here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's just a lot of people. I literally want to go over to Craig and shake his hand and be like, man, I have a feeling in your heart you're kind of going to be a little happy if your horse wins this, because you know they get to know him, and he's Capture the Sea. You go into Matt Fale's barn now. He's right next to the main office. He's the guy. He's the big, he's everybody wants to pet him. He's so sweet and loving, and it's just like, with a 5-year-old horse, you really get to build a relationship with these guys. It's kind of cool. What
do you think about your post? Have you looked at the race? You're in post 7. Have you thought about?
I really like it. I had talked to Diego for quite a bit yesterday. And by the way, what a kid, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, how great is Diego? And the love for what he does and the enthusiasm and the work ethic. Mm-hmm. I mean, the kid is amazing. And look, I'm not going to get into strategy on here, but I will tell you that Diego is Diego. That's how he rolls. So he has very much thought about the post position and where the other horses are, and just going to leave it at that. This thing's going to be hard enough to win as it is. I don't need to be giving anybody else any information.
Yeah, no. Well, he won the race. He won against these similar foes once, and he did an expert fashion, just kind of bided his time and waited for the right spot to open up, and just took off from there, held off Castle Gate. So we know that Diego is going to do just fine on Capture the Sea. You've mentioned Tel Cartel a few times, Dan. Give us an update on this.
If you can't tell, this little horse my mom raised in her backyard is got a special place in my heart. Yeah. What do you want me to talk about Tel Cartel? Because you don't have to twist my arm.
Yeah, let's go.
Give us an update. How's he doing?
He's great. And look, he's clearly the best value out there right now. $5,500, you're getting a $20,000 horse. So that's the reason that because people don't need to spend $20,000. They still will because they've got the money. But when you see you've got a horse and of course I admire and love his dad, but I don't think that there's ever been another stallion to win 3 derbies. There's been geldings to win 3 derbies at Los Alamitos. And so to not only have the bloodlines, but to prove himself and still be 5,500. He's going to be a $10,000 and then a $20,000 stud. So this is really the year. It's like, hey, I'll just save $15,000. What the heck? You know what I mean? So he's attracting some really good mares, and I just can't wait for in a couple 2-3 years, and we get to watch them all around the country.
That's right.
There's people coming from everywhere, so it's just like, oh man, he's the sweetest guy too. That's what's also nice is he didn't have to be cut, because he's kind of like Remember Me Rose and Chicks Tell are kind of the 2 most producing mares that seem to work well with Favorite Cartel, and because Chicks Tell's side of it, I don't know whether Remember Me Rose is just wilder or what, but they're both incredible mares, and luckily this side didn't have to be cut, so we get to have a chance to, have the horse for future years and future generations.
Well, Favorite Cartel seems to work with a lot of mares. That he's just been such a terrific.
He does. He's incredible. Right. He's the best.
The mix with Chick Style has been awesome. The mix with Remember Me Rose, forget about it.
Forget about it.
So you're right. He's been outstanding, and it'll be exciting to see Tel Cartel and having some of these babies run at Los Al, get to follow them again. So thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dan. Looking forward to seeing you here on Saturday night, and best of luck with Capture the Sea, and hope to see you. Continue to see you here at Los Al.
You'll see me around. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on your show.
The Southern California Thoroughbred Racing Circuit returns to Los Alamitos for our Winter Thoroughbred Meet. Opening day is Friday, December 3rd. The 7-day meet will have 5 stakes led by Grade 1 Starlet on Saturday, December 4th. Kentucky Derby points will then be on the line in the Los Alamitos Futurity on Saturday, December 11th. Plus, our on-track live money handicapping contest will also be held on December 11th. You could win a berth to the 2022 NHC. The Los Alamitos Winter Thoroughbred Meet opens on Friday, December 3rd.
That is correct. The thoroughbred meet coming up in the winter, just days away. We can say days away now, Orlando. 7 days in that thoroughbred meet, but we have plenty of action to kick off there during those days of racing.
Yeah, 7 days of racing and 5 stakes races. So the first weekend has the Starlet going on Saturday, followed by the Bayacoa for mares on Sunday. And on closing weekend, we have the Soviet Problem on Friday, the Los Alamitos Futurity on Sunday with Kentucky Derby points on the line, and of course the Clean Glorious, the traditional final stakes of the meet during the winter wraps up the season. We will be racing Friday through Sunday on opening weekend and Thursday through Sunday on closing weekend. So fast action, lots of stakes races, lots of fun coming up.
And that'll be part of the doubleheaders as well with our nighttime racing as well. So looking forward to those couple of doubleheaders. Couple of weeks of doubleheaders there at Los Alamitos. All right, that was great to catch up with Dan Wells about Saturday's card in that thoroughbred type of races. Switching over to Sunday's card, Orlando, we got trials for the SoCal Derby. So some trials there with 3-year-olds on display.
Yeah, out of the 10 races on Sunday, 7 of them will be quarter horse races. So quarter horse aficionados, lots of fun action coming up. And of course, it will be highlighted by the final 3 races on the card, races 8, 9, and 10. These are trials to the $150,000 final Southern California Derby. But we get to see a lot of horses exiting the Super Derby final, coming in and being kind of spread around in these 3 trials, all of them at 400 yards. But race number 8, right off the bat, Fallout is in there. He ran third. A really good third, the way that he was finishing there, Jose. He was making up ground. He may have maybe even caught to a political patty if this was at 440-yard race, the Super Derby final. He was moving really well at the end. And that trial also includes Favorite Colossus, who we've seen win a couple of derbies this year, and Counting the Ways, a horse that's also exiting the Los Alamitos Super Derby.
Yeah, you can see it. So it's a field of 9 of the first trial. We don't have the morning line up to this point. We're recording this one earlier tonight. But, immediately off the bat, like you mentioned, we got a Super Derby form on display. Anything you can note about the Invader Apolitical Hero? Do you know how long he's been on the grounds?
Well, I don't, because he last raced October 23rd.
That is true.
In Albuquerque. So, I'm sure he came along with the other Jason Olmsted horses. We saw a couple of his runners be in the Los Al Futurity trials last weekend, and a couple of those horses had workouts in. So yes. I'm sure they all kind of came together. I'm assuming probably a week or 2 right after the Albuquerque race.
Yeah, there's going to be a field of 9. You mentioned Favorite Colossus, Fallout, who was finishing well. Up for you, a breakout maiden diploma out of that good mare. Up for it. Illusion Eagle, once upon a time, was one of the favorites for the maiden stakes. Yeah, he was scratched at the gate, if I remember correctly. Yep. He came back to Los Al last time out, and finished a pretty solid third. So first division there will be race number 8. Second division is race number 9. Like you mentioned, all trials at 400 yards. Carl Strauss leads it off. A horse that has been, he had been competitive as a 2-year-old here. He qualified to Ruidoso Derby, and last time out finished a troubled 5th in the Town Policy.
I really liked him in the Town Policy. I believe I made him my top choice in that race, and just never had a chance to really, take off. He got bumped around, lost his path early on, and just kind of went from there, finished 5th. We'll see what he does from the rail. He's won from the rail before, did it at Remington Park, and looked pretty good. Let's see how he does. Maybe, after getting bumped around there, maybe going to the inside post might help Carl Strauss kind of, a little bit less opportunity to get bumped around. The horse right next to him, SC Divas Cartel, man, another horse exiting the Los Al Super Derby, and a pretty professional horse. I mean, this horse tends to just break nicely. and he gives his best performance just about every time. He doesn't get himself into trouble too much. So from that standpoint, I kind of like Carl Strauss being right next to SC Divas Cartel Man. Is he better than SC Divas Cartel Man? Probably not. I think SC Divas Cartel Man will be pretty tough in this one.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of big dances. He tends to deliver good enough performances to kind of get himself into the mix of things. So he's going to be in drawing gate 2. Guard of the Cash just came through with an allowance win at 7-1. Maybe that's a sign of good things to come and improved effort. Harrison, Martha Wells, we just talked to Dan Wells. This one out of that mare, Chick's Tail, by Fever Cartel. So this one is actually a full sibling to Tel Cartel.
That's right. There's a few of those. There's a few of those that Mimi Wells has bred over the time. And if you remember, Harrison qualified to the Governor's Cup Derby. In his next race, Matt Fells really liked his opportunity, his chances. He beat Tuck in that next outing allowance race, and he'll be facing Tuck once again here in race number 9, the second trial. And Tuck, another horse that has just performed consistently here at Los Alamitos, coming off of a second place finish in the town policy.
I feel like I've been chasing Tuck around Orlando.
Yeah, you and me.
And if you start, so me and you are both in that chasing club of Tuck, and he tends to deliver good performances. He's going to be one of the main contenders. La Estrella Corona, I finally chased and cashed last time out at 8-1. Might be level below these, but she has the ability to finish, and maybe stretching back out to 400 yards is a good thing. What about JBS Boogie? What do you think the outside post? Do you think it's a good place to be for this filly?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good place to be. It's just been so tough to just watch her the last 2 races, just because we've expected so much from this filly. We expect her to take the next step up, and through it hasn't always been fault of her own, but she has just been breaking slow. And you can't break slow and and expect to make up time, especially when she's going against boys, especially in that last outing. I don't know. What do you think?
I was ultra impressed with that July 24th comeback effort, because I love the dash of sign that night. And for her to come back and run that big of a performance just kind of stood out in my mind. So of course I went to chasing the last 2, Orlando. And the last 2, she just hasn't breaking well. I feel like this is the post that is going to help her get a better trip. Whether she's good enough, I don't know. But you would think that we're going to see a better performance from this outside post.
And I think this trial probably gives her the best chance,
to
shine. If she was in some of the other trials, she'd be facing some of the really tough stakes winners here at Losa.
All right. So which trial do you think is going to be the fastest? Do you think it's going to come in the first and the second, maybe in this third and last one, Orlando? What do you think?
Well, we've seen let me start by in race number 10, Monopolis is in that race. So we've seen what he's done in a couple of trial efforts, trial nights. When he's on his game, and he draws an outside post number 8 of 9, and in these trial nights he's just been superb. On the trials to the Governor's Cup Derby, won by 3 lengths. On the night of the trials to the PCQHRA Breeders' Derby, he won so easily. Any of those efforts, you have to think he'd be if you were making a guess on who would be the fastest qualifier, those kinds of efforts, it's tough to outdo those kind of races.
And you're right. Whenever he's on his game, he puts up tremendous performances that it makes it look very easy. Last time out, he was just unlucky because he drew the first trial. I remember that night, October 16th, and it looked like a final.
Yeah,
it was like 5 or 6 horses that could have been favorites in a final. Flashback, the winner ended up coming back. When he just didn't break all that well, he got into some traffic trouble and finished 4th and wasn't able to qualify. But he landed such a tough trial that it left no room for error. This is a much better post, and this seems like a better opportunity for him to fire back a big performance.
And he'll have over a month off as well, so he'll come in pretty nice and fresh. And I think he's gonna go back to those really good trial efforts that he's had in the past.
What do you think could be the main threat here?
I'm kind of interested about Teller with Candy, and also Dash of Sign. We've seen a Dash of Sign all year long, kind of surprised us with some really nice efforts. She qualified to the Los Alamitos Super Derby. We've always thought highly of this runner, filly by a tempting dash. And drawing right next to Monopolis gives her a chance to, if she breaks well, to kind of be right there in contention. And number 2, Teller with Candy. This horse has had some monster efforts. Won by 2 lengths as a 2-year-old, very lightly raced this year. I thought the horse had a chance to maybe qualify to the Super Derby, and another horse that just couldn't really quite finish there. It was so many good trials in the on Super Derby night. But I think that if the horse kind of gets a jump on the competition, the horse might do well.
What about that breakout performance by Just a Dash Hero at 28 to 1, Orlando? Is the breeding was always there, but he kind of had not stepped it up above a level up to that point in the town policy. Is this now the real deal for Just a Dash Hero?
Yeah, he is a really interesting horse. Don Manili, part of S Quarter K LLC, the breeders of this horse, and they're the ones that bred He's a Dash of Fire, I'm a Fearless Hero. He said, Jose just told us there's something in this horse. There's something in this horse. Let's stay with them. Let's stay with them in these big races. And, and they trusted Jose's ability for talent, and it paid off with a really nice performance in the town policy at 28 to 1. He may have been the longest shot on the board in the town policy, because that was a really good group as well. Was that like the highlight of his career? We'll find out. We'll find out. We definitely bred for to do some really good things. He's a full brother to I'm a Fearless Hero. Maybe he's a late developer. He's had some good races in the past.
And they took the blinkers off that night as well. So blinkers off, outside post, 28 to 1 upset. Erasmo Gasca has him out. That time in 1976 puts him right in the mix of things here once again. If he can kind of run back to that effort.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So that's going to be a quick look at those SoCal Derby trials, which features plenty of runners coming in from the Super Derby. So the top 10 fastest times will advance to that final of the SoCal Derby. And I'm assuming is the final the weekend after the
it'll be on our closing weekend. It might even be on our closing night on the 19th, right?
19th, yes.
Yeah.
So the 19th will be the finals of the Southern California Derby. Looking forward to those weeks. It feels like time's flying by this time of year, Orlando. It's like before we know it, we're already in December. We'll be talking about closing week as well. All right. Thank you so much for joining us here on this week. By the way, do you have another interview that you wanted to show us before we let you go?
We'll save them for next week. We'll start talking, getting some early preps for the big races next week. Right now, a special holiday show. We want to make sure that we didn't miss any weeks here at Los Al, bringing you the preview show. So thank you, Jose, for putting this together. And we're looking forward to a great weekend of racing. We'll have plenty of interviews in the weeks to come, Jose.
All right. Thanks, Orlando, so much. And we'll see you out there at Los Al this weekend.
Thanks so much.
Night racing's best bets, the Los Alamitos Pick Fours, continue strong every weekend. Racing fans, the early and late Pick Fours had some of the biggest pools of the year on November 14th. The early Pick Four handled over $189,000, and the late Pick Four pool was over $195,000. Plus, we're still offering our $10,000 Pick Six promo on eligible Sundays. It means more money in your pocket when you win. Night racing's best bets are here, Saturday and Sunday nights. Play them at Los Alamitos Racecourse.
Welcome back. Now joined by Los Alamitos simulcast analyst Christopher Wade. Let's take a look at Saturday's card. What race do you want to take us to here?
I'm going to take a look at one of our quarter horse events. I'm going to go to race number 7. The horse has been away for a little while, but did show me a good amount of ability in both lifetime starts after prepping pretty well prior to those debuts. That debut.
And that's number 4, Thinking Guy, 6-1. First time in for a claiming tag. You're probably liking that he's fresh, right? He's been fresh enough since August 29th, so that's probably a good thing for a horse that is still trying to develop here.
Yeah, this horse, he's out of the sire, Fly Through the Fire. If you remember, all those runners first part of the season were running very, very good, and this horse did show some ability. He went from a C++ workout to a B workout. So I liked him a little bit in the debut where he had a good amount of trouble. He got fractious. He brushed away from the gate, slow into stride, and finished pretty well. So I liked him in his second start, and then he came right back in that second start, got fractious. He was bumped back in close quarters and took up. He's post number 3 here, and a little fractious. Break slow away from the gate, and then he took up harshly in there, right about here. And then he angles out. He's slow in the stride. He takes up. He angles out, and he's crossed. But this horse finished very strongly under a hold. Watch this hold right here. He starts striding out real strong right past the wire, right about there. And he galloped out pretty well. So with my trouble, with the track variant and everything factored in, this horse figures pretty good in this event, like about 1564, 1565. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the field have had a number of chances. They're like 1570 horses. So with expected improvement, been freshened. And Jimmy Glenn really good at bringing horses back off the layoff, like a 22%. I think his horse got a big look here at tonight's 7th event. And
the eventual winner of that main event, Benevolent, wasn't he one of the upsetters on trials night, if I remember correctly? I think he came
Yes, he sure was. He was the 2 horse. He upset the apple cart there at a big price of 20-1 to spice up those numbers.
Yeah, so he's eventually now came back to win the trial for the $2 million last weekend. So that's a look at Thinking Guy in race number 7, who's 6-1 there for Christopher Wade. While we have you on the line, why don't we touch base a little bit on that featured event on Saturday night, which we the $50,000 final for the thoroughbreds in that spot. We had a brief interview with Mr. Dan Wells, who is the owner of Capture the Sea. What do you think about this race? Is there any kind of early lean that you like in this race?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards this horse because there's a lot of speed in the race, and this horse is steadily improving. And what a claim! And obviously, Mr. Wells, Dan Wells, well meant to be a horseman, being by the son of Dwayne Wells, who's a rider and a solid trainer back in the day. And of course, Mimi Wells, who has a lot of horses with Dan Fales. He claimed this horse for $62.50. Got a couple of wins and a couple of runner-up efforts and get some strong fields. And this horse comes from off the pace. And with loads of speed stacked in this event, this horse could get an absolute perfect dream 3rd over, 4th over trip and be finishing best of all to the lane.
Yeah, because not only is Jerry obviously the sharp horse, but now you throw in the quarter horse speed of Ballast Point. That should be a lot of speed to set up for the closers. Yeah,
and he should be licking his chops around the turn. And if he runs to my numbers, he's got a big chance to capture the $50,000 stakes race. What a program by Los Alamitos.
Yeah, this point system standings proved to be a good support by the horsemen. So kudos to the racing office. Kudos to the connections for supporting by entering their horses through this 1,000-yard series. Not only do we have race number 10, but also races 3 and 4 are also part of those point system finals. So looking forward to it this weekend of racing. Thoroughbreds highlight the card on Saturday. We'll have the quarter horses highlighting the Super Derby trials on Sunday night. Christopher Wade, thank you so much for the insight. Are you going to be doing quarter horse analysis for other tracks on the Nine Lights programs as well?
Yeah, we got Lone Star Park. They only race the one day this week because they got trials, futurity trials, and then of course we got, I think I have like 12 trials, and then of course we have Evangeline Downs running on Saturday evening. We handicap races 5 through 8, and our numbers are Evangeline are starting to come into effect because they had some races over the track, so we're starting to come up with some nice prices.
All right, looking forward to it. You can catch all of Chris Wade's analysis in print in the Nightlights and also at Los Al through the simulcast signal. We'll see you out there this weekend at Los Alamitos, Chris.
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate you on your victory on the Consensus Championship. Beat me by a point.
I'll take the championship on that one. We'll be back for more trials and more consensus. Thank you for all the players that are supporting the consensus page as well and following along. Chris, have a good night. We'll see you out there.
All right, boss. Thanks a lot.
Racing fans, the traditional $2 pick six at Los Alamitos is always a great bet. On Sunday, November 7th, a one-night carryover of $14,000 led to an outstanding total pool of over $94,000. On Sunday, October 17th, a one-night carryover of $17,000 led to a total of over $110,000. And the payouts are tremendous, headed by a season-high payout of over $94,000 on May 21st. And remember, on Sunday nights when there's not a carryover, Los Alamitos will add $10,000 to the pick six pool.
Welcome back. Now joined by the voice of Los Alamitos, Mr. Michael Rona. Michael, welcome back to the program. What a tremendous weekend of trials it was last weekend. And fresh in my mind, hard not to be impressed with what Bomb Cyclone did that evening.
Oh, yeah. What a performance out of gate one, first time at Los Al. And it was a performance that stamped him as clearly the horse to beat in the final. They're going to need their running shoes on to match strides with this horse.
Yeah, that's for sure. He looks like the horse to beat on finals come final time. We'll see where he draws, what gate he draws coming into the finals. But that was a tremendous performance, no doubt. It makes him the favorite to beat in the final. All right, let's take a look at Sunday's races. We'll have 3 trials, and this is for the more established 3-year-olds, SoCal Derby trials to be exact. And you want us to take a look at race number 8. What horse do you want to take a look at?
Well, I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. We're recording this on a Friday morning, and perhaps I'm in a tryptophan haze because I'm picking a horse which I assume will be double figure odds. Haven't seen the morning line yet, but this is probably the hottest trial of the 3. But number 2, O'Donovan Rosa, at the very least, should be considered for exotic wages. This horse has had no luck in pretty much any start he's had at Los Alamitos, including the most recent race, which was in a Golden State Million Futurity trial. I think we've got the replay coming up. He had his hind quarters knocked from under him twice early in the race, and he finished it off pretty well.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the replay, courtesy of losalamitos.com. He was in gate number 6, right? Gate number 6 in this field of 7.
Yes, white silks, and look at his hind quarters get bumped sideways twice in quick succession in the first 50 yards.
Yeah, right there gets bumped significantly there, veering in, and he's still pretty much difficult to ride every step of the way after that.
Yeah, the closing split was 9.64, and you'll see that the horse who was drawn outside of him crossed him, and O'Donovan Rosa ends up coming down the extreme outside, doing some nice work late. It was a good gallop out. And I've seen this kind of trip for him on several occasions, going right back to some Derby trials at the beginning of the year, the Winter Derby trials, January, the El Primero del Año Derby trials a month after that. He hasn't had a chance to really show what he can do. And what interests me, Jose, is Juan Aleman putting blinkers on for the first time. If that can help him break that little bit better, maybe he can show that he can compete with some good horses. But, gee, this is a tough, tall order. I mean, you've got Counting the Ways drawn on the extreme outside, who finally gets off the rail. And, he's had that rail draw 3 times in a row. Be very interesting to see him operating from the outside on this occasion. You've got Fallout from gate 2 coming off a 3rd place finish in the Super Derby. Favorite Colossus is already a Derby winner. You've got the Jason Olmsted new shooter, Apolitical Hero. It's a very deep, contentious, difficult task here for my pick. But if he doesn't quite measure up, I'll just blame it on overindulgence in Thanksgiving turkey.
That'll be fine with me. We can blame it on that as well on my end. But yeah, O'Donovan Rosa, the most important, I think the more encouraging thing about that replay that we showed is that he was finishing with good interest into a 9.63 final 8th, which is pretty significant. So for him to still be eager to make up ground on that type of final 8th shows that he's got more run to give. And maybe now with the addition of blinkers, he's able to break a little bit better. Of course, we don't know the morning line up to this point. It's still early. But like you mentioned, I expect him to be in the double-digit range.
Yeah, against this field, he has to be above 10-1. Yeah. I wouldn't consider betting on him at anything less than that. But again, he might be able to spice up some exotics at the very least. And I just wanted to draw people's attention to the fact that he has ability. He really hasn't had a fair shake yet. And blinkers on for Juan Aleman could be a recipe for some success.
I like it. I like that pick. Should be the first trial. Again, the first trial of the 3 trials on Sunday night. So they'll be setting the bar in that first trial, which should be fun to watch. Top 10 fastest times advance to the final. All right, let's go enjoy some leftovers for lunch, Michael, and get ready to kind of make more indulgent opinions as well.
All right, mate. See you at the track at the weekend.
See you out there. We'll see you out there Saturday and Sunday. Have a good week.
Hooroo.
Horse racing fans, the fun and excitement of horse racing is always at Los Alamitos. We're open daily for simulcasting, and our live quarter horse and thoroughbred meet continues every Saturday and Sunday night. And sports fans, make Burgarts at Los Alamitos a big part of your Sundays, as our new sports bar and wagering room now features the NFL Sunday Ticket. Root on your favorite football team plus cheer on your favorite racehorse at Burgarts. Plus, we're continuing to offer our popular $10,000 Pick 6 promo with the NFL Sunday Ticket now at Burgarts. Live nighttime horse racing action, and of course, our $10,000 Pick 6 promo. Get your admission tickets at the gate or online at losalamitos.com. We look forward to seeing you at Los Alamitos.